I found you on TikTok through a friend who sent me a TikTok of yours. I love film and TV. That's the industry I really want to get into long term. And there's just something about prop making that we just find so fascinating. And I think more people than we realize find that so interesting, and not a lot of people talk about it. So I thought it would be a great kind of thing to bring you on and tell people about what goes into making these films and these TV shows that we love. What really got you into the entertainment industry and specifically prop making?
It really starts from an early age of just loving movies and loving the whole, just the mystique behind it and wondering how do they do this, like from an early age. And I would make little videos with my friends, that sort of thing, with those old VHS camcorders back in the 80s. Then I got into college at North Texas, University of North Texas in Denton, and there happened to be a movie filming in town. I found out from a friend where they were going to be filming, the next couple days. And I just went to the set and offered to do anything, pick up trash, whatever, how can I help? I want to learn. And they put me with the prop department. And that's really how it started. And I really enjoyed it and enjoyed doing it and learned a lot. And this is back in 1989. So a long time ago. So the business has changed quite a bit. And you don't just start out as a prop master. You start out, lowest tier, and work your way up. That's how you learn everything. And that actually helped me pay college and pay for my school. But I didn't just work movies. I would work karaoke videos, little industrial films. I just started getting to know people. One big thing I tell people is because it depends on where you're located. If you're in LA, it's a lot easier. I'm in Austin, Texas, and there's a nice, decent sized film community here. And at the time, Dallas was pretty booming with commercials and films here and there. So if you're in an area, more of a metropolitan area, it's a lot easier. And you can call up your state's film commission and find out. A lot of the film commissions will have a packet they'll give somebody who wants to get into the business and give them pointers. There's also, you call up, there's a union hall, we're all kind of end up, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Independent films are really the best way to get your start because you kind of learn a little bit of everything. So if you can find out through your film commission the independent films that are filming, you can go and you can work for free, or you can get a what they call a PA position, a production assistant position. That's really the best because you get a little taste of what all the departments do. And it's like I said, it's ground level, but it's how you learn. And then you kind of, get to know people. It's really all who get to know what the departments do and which one really fits what you do best.
Yeah, I actually worked as a PA last summer, so I definitely agree with that. I think that it's a great way to kind of learn the ins and outs and figure out what aspect of production you enjoy the most, and then you can pursue that in the long term. But where I worked, we didn't have any prop. We were just a talk show, so it was mostly live production. So prop making really intrigues me because I haven't seen any of it firsthand. But I know that there's an art to it. It's a lot of artistry because you're creating things. So I'm curious, what does it take to become a prop master? What skills are required for that?
Well, so a prop maker and a prop master are two different things. Now, I've been very fortunate to learn as I go because I started out as a prop assistant early on, and once I moved to Austin, I got in with learning prop making from Troublemaker Studios. And I don't know if you know Troublemaker, that's Robert Rodriguez's company. they started out doing Spy Kids and then Sin City, and then I started working with them on Planet Terror, and I prop mastered Machete. And Machete, believe it or not, yeah, we had Robert De Niro, but it was on a super low budget. So me as the prop master, I was having to get my hands dirty and help with a lot of making and designing of stuff. And the script would call for a skull scraper at the hospital, and we're like, what is that? So we just made it up. I'd draw something up and show it to the graphic designer, and then he would do a kind of a polished version, and then we would we had a mold maker, Mark, that was always on standby, and he would then make a 3D version of it, and then next thing you know, we've got this cool skull scraper, for Danny Trejo to fight his way out of the hospital with. So and I started out just learning how to mold simple objects, and then you just get a little more complicated from there. But once I started moving up and became a prop master on bigger shows, I'm more of an acquirer of things. Like I'll hire a prop maker to make me Walker Texas Rangers rubber gun. So I'll get the gun, get it to him, explain exactly what I need. I need one that's super soft. I need one that's medium soft, because it's more than just a rubber gun. You got 3 different kinds. Yeah, it's the technical aspects of it. So at the same time, I'm also dealing with the graphic designer, because we've got a prop newspaper and we've got to see tight on it. So I've got to get the writers. So I'm dealing with the writer's office saying, okay, I need some copy for this article because we're really close. If it's just a wide shot, we just make stuff up, and we'll make funny stuff up. But if the camera's actually going to focus on it, we've got to have the writers involved. If there's an advertisement in the newspaper, we've got to get clearance. We've got to either make our own fake ad, or we've got to get permission from whatever company it is to use their logo. So then there's this whole, legal aspect of it, because I feel like I could pass the bar at this point, because when you're dealing with network television, and then so there's a graphic design, then there's the guns and dealing with an armorer, and keeping, set safety, we're responsible for. Now with COVID, there's all that. So, and we happen to have a lot of food scenes in this show. I mean, with like a big family, with like a family of 7 or 8, and how do you keep them safe, right? We're all, those of us that are like my right-hand guy is the assistant prop master. He's my main guy on set, and he's got to wear a shield, he's got gloves on, and we have to come up with a way. It's not just putting food on the table and then giving them more after the cut. We have to actually choreograph the whole scene, because I don't want someone passing the mashed potatoes to the other person. We want to keep the contact only when it has to happen. So I'll say, Walker will grab the potatoes, puts them on his plate, puts it back. Someone else grabs, each person had a particular dish they were allowed to touch, and so we really have to think about the minutia in this job. And some of it's boring, some of it's exciting, but it's just, you got to take one with the other.
You talked a little bit about the technicality of it. If you're zooming in on a specific prop, how real it has to look, and when it's a wide shot, maybe just placing kind of random things in there. But what is the process like of deciding what props are needed for a film or a show? When do you know what props you'll need, and how do you kind of go about deciding what makes sense in a scene?
Well, we're given the script. So that's it. All starts with the script. I'm given the script. I break it down scene by scene. Then I'll have a director's meeting. We'll have all the department heads, being costumes, makeup, props, art director, the director of photography. We all are now on a Zoom call, and we read through the script. Then about the very next day, I'll have a prop meeting with just me and the director and the producers. and we'll discuss what, because sometimes what's written is not attainable, because we literally, I'll get a script and we'll be filming it a week later. So I've got a very short amount of time. It's like a game. It's like a game of scavenger hunt. So that's where I'm saying I'm not in this position. I'm not really making props much. I'm hiring people and I'm up and oversee it and then do quality control and make sure that it turns out right. And if they order it early enough, so if they messed it up, I can make them redo it. We get through the director meeting process. And we changed some things up, try to make it simpler. That's what that director's meeting's about. And then I have a buyer and we get together and we split up who's going to get what. And then about 3 days later, we'll have a show and tell. So we lay out everything on the tables. And then we do a Zoom show and tell because there are like 3 producers in LA. And they have to weigh in on everything as well. And that's where we kind of hone down the main hero props. The stuff that's what we call BG, background props, they just trust that I'm going to have that stuff, be it a baby stroller with a fake baby in it, briefcases for the actors on a street scene. If it's a restaurant scene, they trust that I'm going to have the food and it's going to look good. But it's the hero props that we call them hero props that they're worried about. And if there are things, a lot of times I'm kind of waiting on the graphic designer, doesn't always have everything by the time I do my show and tell, and I'll just have to email pictures constantly to the powers that be and get their approval as we go. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but
no, that's great. Like this
rambling.
Is all great information. You're not rambling at all, especially because most of the people who I interview on this show are actors or producers. So they talk a little bit less about technical things and more about kind of the method of acting or putting on a show. So hearing this is like very interesting to me, and I'm sure my listeners are going to be really into it too. But I know you talked about, having Zoom meetings, obviously due to COVID, most likely, and you having producers out here in LA, also having to wear face shields and kind of change up scenes a little bit so that food isn't crossing over. We all know that COVID has kind of changed the way that sets are working, but can you expand a little bit more about how these procedures and protocols have affected your work specifically?
Yes, one big thing is the number of extras, because a lot of times, like if you're doing like we've got a rodeo scene, well, the writers, because the scripts were written before the pandemic, so they would change it to rodeo practice, to where you didn't have anyone in the crowd. That, or what we'll do, and we did this right before I started this show. I did an Amazon show called Panic, and we had what we had left before we got shut down from the pandemic was a couple of big crowd scenes where it was like a car race and we needed 200 extras. So we would, they'll only allow like 20 people now. So we would have the extras bring like 3 changes of clothing, and we did plates. We got them in front of a green screen, and we put, our fake beer in their hand or whatever, and the props that they'd be holding, and they change their clothes, and we just film them they're going to lay them in post-production. So a lot of what you're going to see come in the television in the coming months, you're going to notice fewer extras or digitally enhanced, extras.
That just seems like so crazy to me. And I'm sure that even once, this vaccine is out and people are kind of feeling better, things start to go back to normal, I'm sure procedures will kind of have changed permanently, just given the fact that now you're getting used to doing things like this. But you're talking about like beer being a prop and a stroller with a fake baby in it being a prop, which I saw your TikTok on fake babies.
Oh, that was so creepy.
But That does bring me to want to talk to you a little bit about TikTok, because this pandemic has really blown you up on TikTok. You downloaded the app. I believe your first post was in May or something like that.
First week of May, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and my
And
daughter, I've got a 17-year-old daughter, and she was on TikTok, and she showed me, and I looked at it, and I saw a couple people telling jokes,
yeah,
and I'm like, well, I can do that. I can do better than that, or whatever. And so that's kind of how it started.
and
And
since then, I mean, you have gained, I'm going to read these statistics out. You've gained 915,000 followers the last time I checked. It could be more than that now.
it's sitting about 915 right now. It's
And
cooling off a little bit.
14 million likes on your videos. That is crazy. In less than a year, this all happened. And it's all because you're posting these kind of behind the scenes of prop making and telling dad jokes too. But I'm curious how you've handled this mass following in a short period of time, and if it's impacted your career or your life in any way.
It really hasn't. Well, I mean, it's made it a little busier because I keep, now I'm back to working because I was off for like 5 months for the pandemic. And then when that started, when it started back up, that's kind of when I started doing the prop thing. When I started adding the prop content was when I started prepping the last TV show. And I'm just staying so darn busy that I'm working about 12, 14-hour days. And in between times, I'm trying to get some content out there, and I'll get inspired and I'll come up with something prop related to do. But it hasn't impacted, except that everybody at work has seen my stuff. And here lately, I've been trying to get them involved. I've actually gotten the people that I work with in a few of the TikToks as well. So
How does your daughter feel about having a dad with so many followers on TikTok?
She's handling it okay. There's always this competition, but what I'd explain is these are two totally different things. She does her art and animation. There's a lot of competition there. I'm doing something that's kind of unique that there hasn't, as far as that there's not a lot of me out there. So it's two totally different things. It's the way I try to put it and that eventually, it'll click. Once it clicks, it, kind of takes off.
Yeah.
I was able to, I had two phases of it with TikTok. Was with the jokes, like around on July 4th, I recorded this joke about my son chewing on electrical wires, and it took off. It got like 165,000 likes, 2 million views or something. That was my first taste of it. And I had built up to about 80,000. And I thought, hey, this is awesome. I got 80,000 followers. This is amazing. They're liking I've even got young people like admitting that they like the dad jokes. This is pretty awesome. And then, so that was like the first phase. And then like about the second prop one I did, which I think was the silent props. That's when my head was spinning. I didn't know what was going on. Cause then I did that on a Friday night, and I came back to work Monday and everybody had seen it. It ended up on Reddit. It ended up BuzzFeed did a compilation of my prop videos. And then, it was kind of like in a matter of 2 or 3 days, it had been seen between Lad Bible, BuzzFeed, and TikTok and Instagram. It had been seen something like 60 million times in a week. And that's kind of crazy.
I'm telling you, people
but
are
it hasn't
interested.
But it hasn't affected the career. I still go to work and do my thing. And I really don't know where I'm going with it. I'm just going to keep continuing to try to grow the account and teach people stuff and make them laugh at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. On your channel on TikTok, you do a ton of like how to make a prop baby, how to make a, prop gun or something.
Fake
What
ice.
Yeah, fake ice. Yes.
Yeah.
What is your favorite prop to make for film or TV, and why is it your favorite?
Oh, there's so much. That's a tough one. I read your question like 10 times and I'm like, how do I answer that one? I don't know. What's fun is because it's kind of instant gratification is like the rubber glass. That's kind of neat because you just mix two chemicals together and pour it, and in 5 minutes it's done. It's kind of cool, and it breaks like real glass, and it fools people. Um, I don't know. Other than that, there's a lot of different things. That's what's so cool about my job is with each show and each episode, I learn something new. It's like I'm not just teaching other and my guys how to do things, so they already know what to do. But I'm learning about a different craft. Like on this one, I'm learning about rodeo. Rodeo guys on this particular episode, and bull riding and roping and stuff. The next episode, I could have a character that's a chemist, and I'll have to learn a little bit about chemistry. Which, it's always it's always just something new. That's what's fun.
Yeah, I like one of the videos that you produced that caught my attention was the fake blood video. And because I'm a big like horror movie thriller fan, so I know that there's a ton of fake blood in those movies. And I know a lot of the projects that you've worked on have involved fake blood too. So I always like to add in a little fun question. And I'm wondering if for you could walk us through like a simple step-by-step on how you do that. For those who haven't seen your video on TikTok, what goes into making fake blood?
Well, a lot of times I pretty much buy it. But there's like, as you saw from the video, there's like 10 different kinds. And the days of making it are kind of past, because it's best to find someone that does that as every day. That's like, there's a person here in town who Hogfly is the name of the company here in Austin, Meredith, and she's got a company that just makes fake blood. And one thing that they would do is like they would add like a type of detergent in it to keep it from, it's for not the edible blood, but for as far as your bulk blood, because that would help keep it from staining, that sort of thing. So you got some blood is great for being on fabric when you do a blood hit, because we all, different departments work together on it. You'll have the effects guys who put a squib under the shirt, so you got that, and then you got costumes that has to have multiple shirts for that scene. Then you got effects and props will handle the blood. And then we'll have the fake weapon, like the fake axe that we'll strap on them and do that. But some blood won't stick to latex. So you got to be real careful what blood you're using. Like say if I've got a prosthetic piece on my face, if someone's got some effects makeup, and if it's a latex, well, I don't know what you call it, one of the latex pieces, some blood it'll just bead up and it doesn't look right. So you've got to make sure, like Fleet Street makes a really good blood that won't bead up on a latex. Now I'm getting too technical. So you've got the drying blood, you got the fresh blood, you got the pumping blood. Pumping blood is when you've got a tube running down someone's back to where it's going to shoot out their chest. And squirt and spray everywhere. Pumping blood is thinned out, so more watery, so it doesn't clog the tube, and it'll spray better than your thick blood that we dress on a wound.
Right.
Makes sense. And
did you ever think you would know this much about blood, fake blood?
No, I did not. What's crazy is when you work on a horror film, you end up having. I had a whole section in my closet for all my ruined clothes. So I would wear So if I'm going to work on a horror movie, I just go to that section of my already ruined because it's got blood stains all over it.
It's kind of like a painter, you know, you have the clothes that have paint on them, and that's what you're just going to wear to work. Um, you obviously have such an extensive background and so much knowledge on this. What advice could you share with anybody who wants to get into prop making or just being on set working with props?
Well, I touched on it a little bit earlier about like your film commissions. That's a good first place to go if you don't know anybody in the business. Um, a lot of times you'll have, like here in Austin, there's an Austin Film Society. You get involved, you go to events when events happen again, where networking is going on, and you just kind of meeting people is the best thing. I interned at the North Texas Film Commission when I was still going to school, and that's how I found out about the shows. So I'd find out early working with the film commission, you're finding the locations to try to lure a production company in. So a production company says, we want to bring a show to Austin. What do you have? I'm going to send you a script. Do you have locations that fit the script? And that's where it starts, is with the film commissions. And so I would go out and take pictures if it was a script that was prisons. And one time I had to go take pictures of all the prisons. I was 19 years old. That was crazy. But I would find out who was working on it early. I was one of the first to find out. And then at that point, I'd done props on the first movie. And so I started, stalking the prop masters in town and letting them know I had a little bit of experience on one movie and give me a shot, kind of thing. So you've got to have some tenacity, and but it's, like most people in the business, everyone wants to be a writer and a director at the same. And I still, even at my age, I enjoy. That's what I like about TikTok, is I get to be creative and have that outlet. Because I wrote and directed a film back in '98 and did well on the festival circuit with it, but chose not to, drop everything and move to LA. I decided to keep doing what I was doing. It's, a wonderful creative outlet. And, but I think that if you got the tenacity and you really want it, you can, get in the business and be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great advice. That kind of goes for all aspects of, especially entertainment. I think it is like that work ethic and that tenacity.
Mm-hmm. Just know you're going to be working 12-hour, 14-hour days some days.
Yep.
Yeah.
No schedule at all. Yeah.
Yep.
I like to end all of my interviews on a positive note. So I ask my guests to bring something positive to share. Do you have any positive news you'd like to share?
Well, my positive news would be, it's what everyone is looking forward to, is 2021 being the year things start getting normal again. We have hope. We have the hope of a vaccine. We have hope of getting through the winter. Fewer people get infected. So sorry, my mom just tested positive last night. So I'm looking forward to things picking up.
My dad he just turned 70, and this is going to be the first Christmas that we spend away from each other. He's going to be by himself because numbers are so high. And I can only imagine, if he tested positive, I don't know what I would do. So thoughts and prayers are with you and with your mom.
My mom's 88, but she's very healthy and strong. And we've got a big family rooting for her. So.
Yes. And there's so much positivity coming with the vaccine. There's so much hope, like you said, and everything is going to be good. Everything is going to work out the way that it's supposed to. And you are spreading so much light with your jokes on TikTok, making people laugh during this time too.
I try.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you, find your work, and find your TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, Scott Prop and Roll. On Instagram, it's the same, Scott Prop and Roll. And that's pretty much it.
That is like a
Yeah.
dad joke in itself. The name is just like
Well,
so
I was
good.
Scott Drop and Roll early on, and when I started adding the prop content, I changed it because it was just one letter to change. It was easy. So because several people were saying, why aren't you calling yourself Scott Prop and Roll? I was like, well, originally I was just doing jokes. So, but yeah, so it's been fun, and I really enjoy it.
Well, we enjoy watching it, and you have been so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed having you.
Oh, thanks for having me.